Hey guys, I'm Becky and welcome to another reading vlog. Happy Valentine's Day! I have decided to do a little Valentine's weekend reading vlog. I figure I'll probably end it like Monday night, but I thought it would be fun to just like spend the weekend together reading some romance books and discussing. So today it is Valentine's Day. I am currently finishing a book, so I have like 3 chapters left, I think, so I want to finish that really quickly and then we'll jump into the books that I planned to read this weekend. So the book that I am currently about to finish, which I'm pretty excited that I didn't finish before starting this because I wanted to talk about it with you guys, and that is this month's book club pick for the book club that I run at my library, and it is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. Now, I know this book is so hyped up. I've heard amazing things about it. Everybody loves it, but it was always marketed to me as a World War II rivals to lovers book, and that doesn't get me excited, you know? But then I found out it's not World War II, it's just like World War II-esque, because it's actually like a fantasy where magic exists, gods exist, and it's a war between 2 gods. So if you would have just told me that, I probably would have read this a lot sooner. But alas, I'm reading it now, and guys, I am eating this book up. I love it. It is getting 5 stars. I just know it's getting 5 stars. I have a feeling, because I'm pretty sure it's just a duology, right? Please tell me it's a duology. So I have a feeling that's going to end in like a really big cliffhangery way, because that would make the most sense if you're just doing 2 books, that it would end kind of abruptly. You want to get the second book and finish the other half of the story. So I'm pretty excited for this ending. I feel like it's really going to be impactful, and the whole book has just been amazing. So there's just no way it's going to get less than 5 stars, right? But we'll find out. But the thing that I didn't realize, and it doesn't mention it in the description, so I wanted to like be sure to talk about it with you guys so that if you haven't read it and this is something that you're into, check this out. So I have a very specific like trope, I guess. Yeah, I think it's a trope. I have a very specific trope that gets me every time in a book. It is one I love. I have never found it done badly. Even if the book sucks, like at least that trope is always done well. And that is some form of communication where they're not face to face. So it could be talking on the phone, it could be texting, it could be letters, it could be instant messaging, even like speaking to each other in their head. But whatever it is, like they don't have to be in the same room. They're not seeing each other when the other person is receiving the message. So you kind of like get that moment where they can like have this internal battle of like how they're going to reply or how they're feeling from that. You know, if they get like a little bit like, you know, kicking their feet or, you know, like blushing, but luckily they're not there to see it. You know, I eat that up. It kills me every time. And this book has it, and it has a lot of it. So it talks about how there's like these, I think in the description, it talks about how there's these magical typewriters. She thinks she's writing letters to her brother who is currently missing in the war, but it turns out that her rival has been getting these letters. But what it doesn't tell you is that he then starts to respond, and he doesn't tell her who he is. And so we have this like secret identity, letters back and forth. It's amazing. This book is so good. I am eating this up. I am just like, yep. I haven't found anything that I didn't like so far. Like, it's amazing. So if you haven't read it, yes, the hype is real. Read the freaking book. I love it. I can't wait for book club. Which that also segues, what? That also segues me into another book that I wanted to talk about with you guys. So I took like a little reading vlog break this last like week or two. Because I want to make sure that I'm not burning myself out. I am so happy to be back, but I want to make sure that I am like planning out time for me to be able to take breaks so that I don't get overwhelmed again and decide to stop. So I've been on like a little hiatus, which I feel like is a terrible idea for February because my favorite genre is romance. Like it could be contemporary romance, it could be paranormal romance, it could be fantasy romance. I just love romance. So all of the books I read have to have romance in it. And when it comes to February, the month of love, that is what I'm just like you know, I'm like picking out the books that I'm super excited to read, but saving them for February. So this month has been so hard to take a break because I've been reading some really good books. But one book that I definitely want to call out to you guys, because if you're watching these, we probably have similar reading tastes. So if you're someone like me who can get into a darker romance, someone who is all about consent, someone who would have loved Haunting Adeline if consent was just a word they've ever heard of, but then devoured and made it her #1 book of 2024, Lights Out. If that kind of sounds similar to you, then do I have a book for you. And that is Texting Dr. Stalker by Pepper Winters. This book literally has the tagline, a green flag stalker romance, and it's wonderful. It is wonderful. It is dealing with some very serious topics, so I do want to put it out there that our main character experiences domestic violence to an extreme. So the book starts out with her waking up in the hospital because her boyfriend attempted to sexually assault her and attempted to murder her. But luckily, her elderly neighbor, I think his dog like runs in her yard, so he goes in her yard to get the dog and sees through the windows this happening and stops it. So that is on, the assault is on page. The flashbacks are on page. The awful things that he has said to her that is haunting her. Like, she has some severe PTSD and also borderline agoraphobia that happens in the book. So do know that going in. But the author and the story handles that so well. Like, they did such a good job of like dealing with this very delicate, fragile topic and just handling it with care, and I loved that. So I will tell you, as like a slight spoiler, the ex-boyfriend, we never have contact with him again. So like, we see through flashbacks of what happened, but he is in jail. He's awaiting his court date. He doesn't contact her. He doesn't get out. There's no like suspense trope of like him coming after her or anything. That's out. The only thing we're dealing with is like the anxiety, the PTSD, the depression, the fear of leaving the house, the flashbacks, seeing him in the house when he's not there, those kinds of things we're dealing with. But then on top of that, we have this other neighbor who is her, I want to say childhood friend, but he's really not. Their grandmothers were best friends, and they've always said like those two are going to get married. And there's a 6-year age gap between them. They've always like fought any sort of attraction to each other, but like they have had crushes on each other like their whole life. He finds out like how, he's a doctor, by the way, and it's his hospital that she's brought to. And so he knows what happened and understands just how much help she needs, but she's not willing to ask for it. So he decides to get a burner cell phone, leaves it in her mailbox, and starts texting her anonymously to kind of like be that person that she can talk to, free of judgment, free of fear, and things like that. But it turns into much, much more, and it's amazing. It is one of the best books that I have read. I think it's definitely going to make my top 10, I think, and I just loved it. So I wanted to make sure to put that out there of like, again, this is another book that has that trope of communicating without being able to see each other, and it's wonderful. It is spicy, but it is green flags. It is stalking, but with the best intentions, and it's wonderful. I compare it to Lights Out just because Lights Out is also like another green flag kind of stalker romance. Both feature masked men. The big difference to know between the two is like, while there is some lightheartedness and some comedy in Texting Dr. Stalker, it is not a comedy romance like Lights Out is. So like, again, we are dealing with very serious topics, but at the core, it's a romance. The only plot is romance, and that's what I'm hearing. I mean, other than healing, but that's fine. So yes, I just want to mention those books because just fantastic. And the one I am going to finish really quickly with you guys, so we might as well bring it up. So now for the books that I'm actually attempting to read this weekend with you guys. #1 that I'm going to start as soon as I get done with Divine Rivals is Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. I have this on audio. I have a bone to pick with this book, but I need to read it. I want to read it. I think I'm going to love it. So it started out with, they announced this book, you know, just the title. There's no cover, there's no description. And I assume that it was book 2 to Bride. And I have been so excited for like a year now to get my hands on this. Thank God I didn't pre-order it. But now I feel like I'm going to end up loving it and want a copy. But I thought the whole time this was Bride 2. It's not. It is a contemporary sports romance between swimmers. And that's very disappointing, but it still sounds really, really good. So Ali Hazelwood is known for writing fantastic romances. I have not read any of her previous books before Bride because I don't know what it is about, like, I want women to be in STEM. What a silly thing to say. Obviously, I have no problem with women being in STEM. I want women in STEM. But using that as like a plot device doesn't like get me going. I'm not like, ooh, I want to read more books about women in STEM. Like, no, I want to read more romances where like they find the fae or they're dragons or, you know, whatever. But like, I've wanted to read a sports romance, but I've never wanted to read like a STEM romance. So I just have never picked up her books. But Bride came out. It was a paranormal romance. I absolutely loved it. And now I'm like, yeah, Ali Hazelwood can write. So I definitely want to go back and read her backlist because everyone loves them, so I'm sure I will enjoy them too. But this one is not STEM and it's not paranormal, but it sounds fantastic. So that is going to be the first book that we read together, and I am going to listen to it on audio, I believe. I think I will. The next book that we are going to be reading together is Go Luck Yourself by Sarah Raasch. This is book 2 to The Nightmare Before Christmas, which I absolutely loved, and this one sounds just as good. So this one is following the second Prince of Christmas and the Prince of St. Patrick's Day, and it sounds like it's going to be a rivals to lovers, and I'm here for that. Like, say less. You told me that there was a book 2 to Nightmare Before Christmas, and I was already sold. So that one I also do have on audio again, and I think that's how I'm going to read it, but I do have... Actually, for Deep End, I might just have the audiobook, I think. But for this one, I have both the audiobook and the ebook. And then if we still have time, I think, perhaps, the third book that I'm going to attempt to read this weekend is The Forest King's Daughter by Ellie Blake. I got this one from NetGalley, which I got Deep End from Libro FM. I got Go Luck Yourself from Libro FM and NetGalley. And then I got this one in audio from Libro, but the ebook in NetGalley. So I kind of wanted to like read all these together to make sure that I get to them because 2 of them are expecting feedback. So this is the only one that I'm like, if I have time, I'll get to it. If not, no big deal. And if I do have time, but I want to swap it with something else, that's totally fine too. So I have read Ellie Blake before. I read her YA trilogy. I think the first one's called like Frostblood or something. And it's a paranormal romance or a fantasy romance. I really don't fully remember. I read it to give feedback on content so that the Braille and Talking Book Library would know what like trigger warnings to put on. Because if you're part of the Braille and Talking Books Library, which is a national program by the way, it is for anyone who is visually, physically, or has a reading disability that would affect them to not be able to read a traditional print book. So they provide Braille as well as audiobooks. And for a while, even if a book had an audiobook, they would have to record it themselves, so they'd have to pay a narrator to do it, and because they're like going through it so thoroughly, they already knew like the content warnings to put on. But now they are working with publishers to get the actual audiobooks, the commercial audiobooks, and then if it's a book that doesn't have an audiobook, they then pay someone to record. But for those ones that are the commercial audiobook, they come unrated. So they don't know what content warnings to put on for patrons so that they know like there's explicit content, there's explicit language, are there trigger warnings, things like that. There's no information like that for the commercial audiobooks for the system. So they have volunteers who read unrated books and then give them the content warnings. So I read the entire trilogy for that project and it was okay, and I probably would have stopped after book 1 or 2, but I finished it for the program, and I was honestly, I think by like book 2 or halfway through book 2, I was just listening for content warnings. So I really couldn't tell you what it's about. It was all right, but like there was potential there. So when I heard about this one, which is I think it's like a fairy princess and a demon prince are like childhood friends, and then their parents start a war. So now they haven't seen each other in like many, many years, and now like reconnect to try to end the war, but they don't like each other. I was intrigued, to say the least. So that could be a book that we read. We could not get to it, or I could swap it out. But we'll see what the weekend has in store for us. So I think right now I'm going to edit episode 1 of Read 'em or Reap, and then put that up. I'm going to eat some pizza and listen to the last 3 chapters of Divine Rivals. I'm excited. I'm so excited. And then I'll update you guys once I finish that. Then we start on the next one. So I will check with you guys in a bit. I'm hoping that and I think I can, that I can get Divine Rivals done in like the starting of my editing before my husband gets home from work, and then we're going to celebrate Valentine's Day. So I don't know exactly how much I'll be updating you today, but updates will be happening. Obviously, this is a reading vlog. Hi friends, I have just finished Divine Rivals. It was so good! I am giving it 5 out of 5 stars. I cannot believe that ending. Just like, wow. I feel like book 1 was definitely focusing on the character development and the relationship of our main characters as its sole focus, and then like we're kind of learning about this war that's going on in the background, but because we're not like in it, we don't fully understand what's happening. And I think book 2 is going to be like very much the fantasy, the lore focused. Like obviously because of that ending, we are going to be on a quest, if you will, to find somebody. But I think it's going to be very much focused on like how to end this war. What does war even mean? What's the point? What's the lore and myth behind it, you know? And I'm very excited to read book 2. So I am definitely going to write my book club questions before I even think about starting book 2, because I gotta make sure I don't spoil anything. But should we read book 2 as our 3rd book if I can get to a 3rd book? Maybe. But alright, I just wanted to update you. I believe my husband just got home, so I will see you guys later. Welcome to the boudoir. It is Saturday. I'm home from work. I'm thinking about taking a nap. I'm very tired. I only got like 4 hours of sleep, and that's because I started this freaking book. I am currently on chapter 16, which is like 95 pages or something in, and I'm obsessed. I love it. I am loving this. Ali Hazelwood knows how to write. She does, and I'm here for it. So I definitely am going to have to go back and check out her other works, because like even in this one, like the focus is definitely going to be on the romance and on like their sport. So our main character, Scarlett, she is a diver. And then the male lead, what is his name again? Lucas. He is an Olympic swimmer. So I thought they were both swimmers. They're not. All the water sports are not the same. And like, okay, so what the premise is. I told you a little bit of like, it's a steamy college romance between a diver and a swimmer. And the thing is, one of our main female characters' teammates, she is dating this guy named Lucas, and they have been together since like high school. Well, they decide to like mutually break up, basically. And it's because like, number one, the girl, which I can't think of what her name is, and I think she's the captain of the dive team. For one, she's kind of feeling like, I've been with the same guy my whole life. I kind of want to like flirt and date and, you know, whatever. But like at the end of the day, I think we're meant to be. And so I know we'll find each other again if we take a break for now. The other thing is that he is a dom, and she's not into that. She wants to have vanilla sex, if you will. I don't know. Honestly, we don't know. That's just how it's kind of being described in this book, is that like she's just not into being a sub. And he's fine with that and is like willing to like, you know, have the type of sex that she's into, but she feels like bad and pressure of like, I know this is something that he wants and he's never gotten to explore it because he's been with me the whole time, and it's just not fair to either of us. So our main character, Scarlett, she like pulls her aside one day and has lunch with her to explain of like, I've been where you are, but from the reverse. Like, I am into BDSM, but I enjoy being a sub. And I had a long-term boyfriend who was willing to try stuff, but at the end of the day, he really wasn't into it. And like, that's okay. You know, like, here's how we made it work. Here's how we even explored it, because it sounds like the captain hasn't even like really tried a whole lot. And so she was kind of explaining about like safe words and things like that. And like, you know, there might be a way where you guys can come together and find out what's mutual between you two, because no two people are going to have the exact same kinks, you know? And so, like, she finds it to be, like, very beneficial, but at the end of the day, she decides, you know, they need to break up. Well, she kind of starts pushing them together because she's like, you guys are, like, into the same thing, so, like, you guys should date. But she doesn't know because she's like, this just feels awkward. Like, we're both very serious about our sport and our careers, and at the same time, like, you're my captain, and this just feels wrong, and I feel like the other people on the team, or even his teammates, might judge me and think I'm, like, a homewrecker. So, and she, like, has a, like, traumatic past, which we haven't fully dived into just yet. She is recovering from an injury from last season, and she's just got, like, a lot going on internally, is, like, a very kind of, like, shy to herself person. But I'm loving this. I'm loving it. And we have the trope again so far where we've got, like, you know, we've gotten a couple text messages. We got an email. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. So yeah, so far it's just so good. That's why I got 4 hours of sleep, is because I couldn't stop listening to the audio, because I was like, I'm just going to listen to it for like maybe 30 minutes. And I couldn't stop. It was just so good. I really like it. I will say, I'm not obsessed with the narrator. Her voice sometimes sounds a little bit older than it should be. But I think, like, maybe at some point we're going to get from Lucas's point of view, or maybe we won't. But I only think that because they use a male narrator when it's, like, male parts in the book. But yeah, I just wanted to update you guys to say that I did start Deep End, and I'm really liking it. I'm hoping that when I wake up from my nap, that I can read a ton. I don't know if I can get it done tonight, because it is a big book, but at the same time, like, I really like it, so I possibly could. I did find out last night that season 2 of Exo Kitty is out. I completely forgot. And I watched 3 episodes last night, and I watched 1 today at work, and I'm just, oh, I love it so much. I love that show so much. I never want it to end. So at the same time, I'm also like, ooh, I really want to watch that. But alright, I'm going to take a nap because I cannot stop yawning. I'm so tired. And I'll update you guys once I get farther into the book. But so far, I'm predicting another 5-star read. Happy Sunday. I think it is safe to say that unless we are counting Divine Rivals, 3 books is not happening this Valentine's Day weekend. So I did take a nap yesterday, and then I woke up at like 11, okay? I finished the rest of season 2 of Exo Kitty, which was so good, and I'm so excited that a season 3 is happening this summer, which makes perfect sense with the timeline of the story that's happening. I'm very excited about it. But then I listened to a very large chunk of Deep End afterwards. So I am now on chapter 46, which is page 304. So I just have this little sliver left, which I feel like is about maybe a little bit longer than what I originally read on, was it Friday? So I think it's completely doable to get it done today, and hopefully start and finish Go Luck Yourself by Sarah Raasch. Start it today and hopefully finish it by the end of the day tomorrow, since that's when this vlog is going to end. I think that that's accomplishable, but I think more than that is not in the cards. Today my plans are to do some like housekeeping, and I have to go to a family dinner tonight. So I'm gonna listen to the rest of this while I clean up around my office. I want to reorganize all my yarn by color because that will help so much with my Granny Square project. And then I have not touched that video I told you I was editing since the last time I updated you on it. And honestly, all I did was like get all the footage off of my camera. That was it. So I need to desperately do that today. Plus I have to wash clothes and put away clothes. So I think that I have plenty of time and activities to do while listening to an audiobook. So I think we'll be all right, but we'll see. But since I am like 60% of the way through Deep End, yeah, Ali Hazelwood can write romance. She's really good at it. And like Bride was, I guess I would say like unexpectedly steamy, just because of like what happens towards the end that is very traditional for werewolf romances, but like nobody expected Ali to do it. So because of knowing of how much she was just like surprised, I didn't want to like say anything because I thought it would be more fun to be surprised by it. I wasn't really expecting this to be that steamy, and like it is about 2 consenting people exploring BDSM and who are into the same kinks. So I guess I should have, but like this book is hot. This book is steamy. I'm loving it. I am loving it so much. And so now I'm wondering, like, is the rest of her books this steamy? Have I just been missing out this whole time? Because the one thing I don't remember if I said last night, I think I was starting to say it and was trying to get there, and I don't think I ever completed the sentence. So if I did, then never mind. But even though this isn't like marketed as a STEM book, the characters are going into STEM related careers. So like she's still there at her heart and soul, but the romance is truly the focus. Like that's like something that's happening in their lives. Like they're working towards this goal. They're, you know, doing this research project together and things like that. But that's really not like the point of the story. And I'm wondering if Ali chose to do this to try to get the market of people like me who would love her books, but saying that it's a STEM romance is just not something that we gravitate towards. So we've never tried out her other books. So I'm wondering if that's why she's kind of like shifting gears. Like I know that her STEM stuff has been described as fanficky, so I don't know if it actually is fanfic or if it just feels that way. I know she used to write fan fiction, so I'm not positive on all of that. I'm wondering if she's kind of like slightly moving away from all of that to try to introduce new readers, because like she just randomly came out with a paranormal romance that was really, really good. Now this college sports romance. Like, I see you, Allie, and I applaud you. Like this is good. And if that is the intent, you're pulling it off. You're doing it flawlessly. If it's not, then even better, because you're gonna garner so many more readers by doing this. I just wanted to update you and say that I'm 60% of the way through. I'm liking it. We technically still haven't like defined the relationship. It's kind of just like a situationship, but I think there's genuine feelings there. And the amount of anxiety that our main character has, like I'm like, can we please just like talk about this? Because you're experiencing so much anxiety of like not knowing what is allowed to do or to call him or to behave, because you guys haven't talked about that. So I'm hoping it happens soon. But okay, I'm going to organize my yarn, finish this book up, and then I will tell you my final thoughts. Hello, it is Sunday night. I have finally finished Deep End. So here's my beautiful library copy. I finished this like maybe an hour ago, and it was so good. I really, really liked how this book turned out. I really liked how it ended. I was worried that there was going to be an issue when it came to friendships, but luckily the characters figured it out. I really enjoyed that. I thought the whole thing was both smutty, but also very, very cutesy, and it's getting 5 out of 5 stars. This is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Do I want to own it for my shelves? Yes, but did I love it so much that like I have to have a copy immediately? No. So that's good. At least I can try to save some money by waiting to buy a copy. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this. I really liked the consent. I loved the like lack of control, but yet at the same time having control. I liked that it talked about having childhood trauma, but really didn't like dive too far into it, so that it could still just be kind of like a fun read. I enjoyed the sport aspect of it, which was pretty surprising because I don't care about swimming or diving. I enjoyed every second of it, and I think it was really, really cool that while it wasn't dual POV, we did have a male narrator to do any male parts in the book, and that was such a smart choice. Now, luckily, we do have 24 hours left in this reading vlog, so I have already started Go Luck Yourself by Raasch. I am like, I don't know, 15 minutes into it, but I am enjoying it so far. I can't remember if it's the same narrator as book 1, but this one, like I explained at the beginning, is following the brother of our main character from book 1, and he is trying to figure out what is going on with Christmas's spirit. They're losing it faster than they should be, and he kind of traces it back to St. Patrick's Day, which the Prince of St. Patrick's Day is his rival at school, and I think that's like basically the premise. So it does start, I would say maybe, I can't remember, it does tell us, but it's a few months after book 1, because in book 1 something happens at the end, which is like, ooh, I bet book 2 is going to be following them. So we know that it's been like X number of months since that occurred. So it happens like pretty quickly after book 1 is ending, but we are in his brother's head, and his brother seems very much high anxiety. From the snippets that we get of him from book 1, he's definitely always been like a more anxious person, but I think because of all the change happening in his life and the loss of like control, or like wanting to be places but can't, and not really knowing his purpose in life and his place and stuff like that, I think that it's going to take a bigger toll on him than he's used to in terms of like probably the panic attacks is what I'm going to guess, because there are definitely signs so far in the first 15 minutes that may become a thing. So I think this is going to be a really good read. I'm pretty intrigued. We have just had our first peek of the St. Patrick Prince, and yeah, I can definitely see how there's going to be chemistry later. Like right now there's not chemistry just yet, but I can definitely see how it can definitely progress. So I'm pretty excited about that. But I'm gonna get in bed. I'm gonna listen to a little bit more of this before I go to sleep, because I do have to be to work tomorrow at 9, which is gonna be the death of me. But luckily, because it's President's Day, the library is closed. We just have to be there to do like training and stuff like that. I think I told you guys this. Maybe not. So at least it's not like a normal work day, so I can show up in whatever I want and don't have to worry too much, which on days that are like that, I can get ready for work so much easier. So that shall be nice. But yes, I will be attempting to read some of this when I'm at work tomorrow, when it's time for me to like do my side projects, but anytime I plan on reading at work, it never works out. So we'll see how that goes. I am going to finish this book in this reading vlog, even if we have to extend it by 1 day max, okay? That's all I'm saying. Hello. It is time to end this vlog, which means did I finish the other book? I sure did. I have actually just finished Go Luck Yourself by Raasch. It was so good, you guys. Oh my god. I honestly don't know if I like book 1 or book 2 better. If anything, they're definitely tied, which I feel like I've maybe never had, but it was so good. Like, I really didn't feel like there was any redundancies. Oh, Jesus, Pepe. I really didn't feel like there was any redundancies when it came to the story. Come on. It didn't seem like it was like a copy paste of book 1. I will say that the third act breakup did seem a bit unneeded. The reasoning behind it did feel dumb, and I don't know exactly why that upset one of our characters so much. So I don't know. That's my only like critique, is just like that was kind of dumb. And I feel like even in book 1 that was the same thing with any third act breakup. Like it's hardly ever done well. Like why did we even have it? But otherwise it was so good. I'm giving it 5 out of 5 stars. It was steamy. There was a praise kink. I loved it. I think the voice actor did such a good job. I believe that the voice actor is either Irish or Scottish based on his last name, but excellent performance, excellent audiobook. I highly recommend listening to the audio. But yes, I did finish the like main books I wanted to get done in this Valentine's reading vlog. So thanks for being on the journey with me. I hope that you have some good recommendations, as all 3 books that I talked about were 5 stars. I am like a little disappointed that I didn't get to that 4th, 3rd book, but honestly I'm also not feeling the crave to pick it up before this month ends either, so maybe it was just not in the cards. But alright guys, I think that is everything that I want to update you guys on. Don't forget to keep reading, stay safe, and I will see you in my next one. Bye!